Man, I have emotional needs that are simply not being met. Or maybe you find yourself in your relationship and you find yourself silencing your own needs for somebody else's comfort. Well, if that's you, my name is Coach Cherie, and what I do is I help women to stop being controlled in their relationships so they can get the trust, the honesty, the respect, and the connection and the self respect that you deserve, and girl, the love that you truly need. Now, I don't know if you know this, but there is this pattern that has been going on in our world, and it's called the gray divorce. So if you don't know what gray divorce is, what it is, it's a new concept where people are, well, it's not a new concept because people have been getting divorced since forever, but gray divorce is when people decide that they're going to get a divorce and they've been in a long-term relationship, and it's happening with people who are over 50. You can read about it on ABC, or you can read articles, or maybe even go to AI. But essentially what happens is women are in these long-term marriages and they find out that they're no longer satisfied with their partner. They feel disconnected from their partner and they're unhappy with this relationship. So I want to give you some signs to really help you. And these are things that I've learned from my own life, just as it pertains to you going towards the kind of life you want instead of settling for the life that you currently have. So what are the signs that you could be going towards a relationship and end up having something that you don't really want? Well, the number one sign, and it's this, is that you find yourself silencing your own emotional needs. When you silence your needs for too long, what it does is it doesn't empower you, it actually dwindles you. So let me tell you, I used to do this where I used faith language and I just said, God's going to do it. Like things are just going to get better. And it's not that my husband wasn't doing anything, but I was really silencing my needs for the sake of our marriage, for the sake of our children, and for the sake of everybody else's comfort but my own. And you know what I did? I learned that this is how I processed it, that forgiveness meant forgetting, but I couldn't forget. So I ended up frustrated. So have you been there where you find yourself in a relationship with someone and you're disconnected? You're not having your voice heard, or even worse, you've lost your voice. So then what happens is you've been married for 20 years, 18 years, 22 years. And what happens is you silence your needs and you use your adult children as substitutes. You find yourself fixing your adult children, trying to manage your adult children, and you use everybody else as your emotional assignment. So that's the very first sign that you're heading towards having the kind of relationship that you really don't want. Because and if you're on the other side where you have gotten a divorce, well, you know what I'm talking about. And really, for you, it may be that you have found yourself really substituting your comfort and putting it on your adult children, where you're trying to fix them and help them. And you're still doing the same thing where you are silencing your needs for the sake of other people. Now, the next sign it's a sign number two, that you are going towards like planting seeds for a relationship that you don't want in the future. And let me just say this. The reason why I'm saying this is because I know women who have been married for years, and then guess what? At the end, they are exhausted. They are exhausted because they are so tired of putting other people's needs above their own. So, number two, and I have my notes here, is that you could be going towards this and dealing with this even with your adult kids, where you find yourself doing so much work and other people think it's your job. Have you done that? Where you are trying to fix the emotional connection, you are trying to fix issues in the relationship, you're trying to fix problems that, yes, you may be a part of the problem, but you're not the only solution to the problem. How do I know? Because I've been there with my own marriage and challenges that we had with, to be honest, family, and just not having the proper guardrails in place. So I found myself fixing things and falling into that dutiful wife role because apparently there's a problem and I'm supposed to fix it. And then it began to blow over into my adult kids, where what I did was I found myself also trying to fix them. But here is the point: when you become managers of everybody else, by default, you enter into self-neglect. Have you done that? Where you become a manager of everyone else, but you have neglected yourself, and you're frustrated, you're successful on the outside, you're over 40, but silently on the inside, you feel a sense of unhappiness, a lack of peace, and you feel stuck. And I've been there too, where I'm managing everything, but I'm slowly eroding my own confidence, my own value, and my own sense of worth. And this brings me to my third point, and this is the most important point to me, is that you could be heading towards these relationships with people that you really don't want the relationship to end up where it's frazzled. This could be your adult children. This could even be your parents. This could be your spouse. But what happens is as women, we continue to engage in these behaviors because we believe in their potential more than we believe their behavior. Have you done that? Where you have believed in somebody else's potential more than their behavior. I love what Dr. John Deloney says. He says behavior is language. So when people show you who they are, you need to believe it. And I did this as a woman of faith, where I used faith language, such as, and maybe you've done this too, where I said, well, God's got it. God's going to fix it. I'm just going to pray a little bit harder. Things are going to change with my adult kids. Things are going to change in my marriage. Well, here's the truth: hope is not a narcotic, and hope is not a plan. Let me say that again. Hope cannot be used as a narcotic. Do not use hope to numb the reality of what you're experiencing in your life. And guess what? Hope is not a plan. And what I learned is I didn't need more barriers in my life. I needed more boundaries in my life. Because some of us think that if we just fix our adult kids, if we just try to ease and assuage our spouse or our marriage and just ignore the issues, that somehow our denial creates a barrier that things are going to go away. And let me tell you something, they do not. But what does help is understanding that if you continue this, you could spend the next decade miserable. But there is a solution to where you enter the next decade of your life not miserable, but you enter that decade with autonomy. You enter that decade with peace. You enter that decade secure. And you know how that's going to come? It's not by you denying the problem, it's by you addressing the problems. So, how do you address the problems? Well, for me, I'll just tell you it's simple: it's having boundaries. It is truly having boundaries. And you might be thinking, okay, well, wait a minute, Coach Cherie. I don't have time to set boundaries. But I'm going to tell you something, girl. You are suffering from not having setting boundaries. There are consequences to you not setting boundaries. There's consequences to you not setting boundaries with your adult kids. There's consequences with you not setting boundaries in your marriage. There's consequences with you not setting boundaries with your family relationships. There are consequences that are plaguing you, and they are draining you from the energy you need to live the kind of life that you love. And most of all, not having boundaries, one of the consequences is that you lose a sense of self respect because you are not using your voice, you are managing everybody else's voice. Oh, you got it. You know how to manage your kids. You know how to manage your relationship. But the real problem is you are focusing on others and not dealing with the consequences with yourself. Now, I did this, and what ended up happening with me is I ended up suffering with health problems, not addressing real issues, and I went through a lot of pain. So the real solution is you need to have boundaries. And what I do is when I coach women, I let them in on this secret. And I want to invite you to my training because my training is going to help you understand the 5 consequences that you are already suffering from not setting proper boundaries. So I'm going to put this in the chat just so you can see. And I want to invite you, come to my next training. The training is it's complimentary, there's no charge, there's no obligation. Literally, there is no risk. So why don't you just make a decision? Hey, come to the training, understand these consequences, because guess what? When you don't deal with the issues, you will continue to deal with the consequences. And we just have to ask ourselves, are we okay living another decade like this? And if you're not okay, I put it in the chat. Come to my next training. And one of the most important aspects, or one of the issues and the knowledge that women leave with after my training, is they understand that boundaries are not about you keeping people out. I never advocate for you to keep your spouse out, for you to keep your family out, for you to keep your adult children out. No, your boundaries, girl, as a woman who is over 40, it is about keeping your peace in. So listen, click the link, come to my training. There's no risk, but there is a risk if you continue to silence your needs, if you continue to use faith as a narcotic, if you continue to manage other people and you never manage yourself. If you don't want to be 75 and sad, come to my training and I'm going to help you to identify these boundaries, the boundaries that you need, and understand the consequences to not having boundaries. So I love you. I believe in you. Continue to take action. Join my training. It's in the link, and I hope to see you there. I'll see you soon.